All right, now, so we're making a video here of my process for doing a panel glue up. We're going to start with a pile of lumber here. I'm not going to mill the whole thing for you on the video, but those did start as 10-foot boards. I cut them down and in the smaller pieces, run them through the joiner here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to face joint the board. And as we do this, it'll flatten and take the twist out of the board. Take the cup out as well. Generally, I'll do 2 passes. My joiner's not set super high. I generally take like a 1/16 of an inch off, maybe a 32nd. And then I generally will run an edge joint too to get the board straight, so after it makes it quicker when I'm farther on in the process. When I'm ready to table sides, I've already got a straight edge on it. You don't have to do it now. You can wait until later after you've flattened both sides. And the reason we're doing the joiner, as you can see here, this board is rocking. So the joiner is going to take that rock out of the board. And so you can see just barely touched it, but now it's going to, the second pass should get a little more, and I'll probably check it to make sure the rock came out. And why this is important there, if that rock stays in there when we run it through the planer just makes it parallel to whatever the joiner, whatever's underneath. So now that it's flat and straight, the planer will make it flat and straight. If I didn't run it over the joiner, that rock would still be into the board. So now we're going to go to the planer here. And this will be our first pass. Don't have it set real high. This planer will take a lot off if you want, but I don't generally take much off with it. I'm pretty gentle with this particular planer. It's a nice machine. I just like to take care of it. Anyhow. So as you see, we're running the boards through here first pass. This planer has bed rollers on it, and when I have rough stock, it's a little bit, it gets a little finicky. So the bed rollers when part of the surface is rough, the bed rollers like to be up a little bit, and then once it gets smooth, then I drop them down. It gets a better, when the bed rollers are down, it gets a much smoother cut. And it's a good cut when they're up too, but I mean it's pretty much glass free or glass. I mean it's a perfect finish when the bed rollers are down a little bit. I got one more board here to run through for the first time. All right, and every turn of the wheel is about a 1/16 of an inch, and let's run it through here. I sometimes put the cart behind it just for the boards to fall onto it. I'm gonna run these again. It's 24-inch wide planer. I can put a bunch of boards in there. I was just running them one at a time. It's generally a pretty quick process with this machine to get everything done. So now I've got them smooth on one side. Now as you'll see, that's the bed roller adjustment. I'm dropping the bed rollers down, and I'm going to bring it up another 1/16 of an inch, and we'll make another pass to smooth it all out and get all the rest of it. You can see a little bit of the dark. That's the board that hasn't been planed yet. It'll be white when it's planed, and it should be after this pass it'll get it out. So now that we got those all planed up, now we're going to move on to the next step. Oh, I guess we had to plane a little more here. Not ready for the next step yet. There's a little more planing to do here, but we're coming up on that. And you can see the completed board, how smooth it is, and there's no tear out, and it's ready to go on the next step. Here we go. Okay, so I have this little old table saw. It's an 80-year-old table saw, and I use it for ripping like solid wood and stuff. It doesn't go very wide. It does a really nice job. So we're just going to rip these boards parallel. So when they come off the joiner, they're not parallel. And that's what the fence and the table saw does. So you just joint one edge and it won't be parallel, but now it's going to be parallel for our glue up. I'm just going to move the fence in a little bit here. Alright, got those ripped parallel. Now we're going to go and we're going to lay the boards out here for our panel here. So now we've got our boards ready for the glue up now. So, well, we're not completely ready, but so what I generally am going to do, I'm going to lay out the board and I'm going to mark it so it's where I want it. When I'm gluing a thinner piece in to a wider piece, these are actually drawer sides and there's going to be two of them, so they'll be cut out. I generally put the skinnier one in the middle, and then because I know I'm going to be cutting, and so it'll put two short pieces on there. Honestly, you're really not going to see. So I lay out witness marks there, so I know where it's going to go back in there, and then I lay out fence and me, F and M, so I know which side when I go to the joiner. Now here we're at the joiner, and so this will be one side will say F and it'll be against the fence, and the other side will be M and it's towards me. I can't see in this video which one this is. This is probably me. This is probably an M side. So now I run it over the joiner. This is a different joiner. I use this little joiner for smaller panels. Does a nice job. Really nice job. It's another old tool. This thing's 70 years old. And yes, there's no guard on it, and it's because I don't have one. I've been looking for one. If anybody knows where I can find a guard for this thing, please let me know. I'd like to get one. I may end up making a wooden one eventually, but at this point. So anyhow, we are just joining these edges, cleaning them up, getting them straight, so when I go to do the glue up, everything will glue up just nice and tight. And this is just a straight knife joiner. It's not helical. The planer is helical, but neither of my joiners are. I don't really think that you need a helical on a joiner. That's a debate I've had with people, but my feeling is keep the straight knives on a joiner. Alright, so now we've got our pieces jointed. And now we're going to lay them out and get ready for the glue up. This is step one. We're double checking our joint, which shouldn't be fine. It look good here. It looks nice and tight. Very good. And now it's time for clamping. So generally what I do is I'll set the clamps up. I use pipe clamps. I have other clamps, but I like doing panel glue ups with pipe clamps. So what I'll do is I'll do two on the bottom, or you want to alternate clamps. Because what it does, it keeps the panel flat from curling up on you. If you put all underneath, it can curl on you. If you do one up, one down, if you rotate them either way, it keeps the panel flatter when you're gluing it up. So I just lay the panels, the boards right on the clamps, two clamps like this. Get it set really roughly where I want it. It doesn't have to be exact at this point. And then we're just going to use regular yellow glue. I'm just going to put a bead of glue on here. Sometimes I'll use a roller, roll it out, but on this one I didn't feel like getting out the roller for one panel. You don't really need to do it. So then you smush it in, kind of wiggle it a little bit, kind of make the glue kind of disperse itself all over it. Glue the other one here. Do that one. Very good. Glue it up together. Now we clamp it up. We got the one panel on the flat. There we go. You can see the glue starting to squeeze out. Doesn't take much to get that glue coming out. And you want that glue to squeeze all the way out across the whole joint. It means you got enough glue on there. You definitely want to waste glue by squeeze out. You don't want to have it be dry, because it's always better to have have it squeezing out. So I got the two ends are now clamped, and I'll throw a clamp in the middle here. This is to keep it from bowing. I mean, it just stabilizes it when it's clamping up. That's all it takes to get the panel clamped up. So now you just gotta wait and let it dry. Usually about 45 minutes to an hour it's dry. You can take out the clamps. Generally want to leave a couple hours before you run it through the planer, but you can pop it out of the clamps in an hour or so. Alright, here's our glued up panel out of the clamps. So you can see the joint's tight. I mean, things slip, it's not a big deal. It's going to get cleaned up and sent through the planer. That'll be our next step. Alright, we're back at the planer. We have the back view here. So I'll just buzz this through and this will get the panel perfectly flat. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is that I always leave the panels thick when I glue up because I'm going to plane them and get them flat. So you can see that's one pass through the planer. It strips the glue off of it. You do another half pass here and it'll do it again here. We'll buzz it through. And again, this is one of the advantages. I had a big planer. I think this is like a 16-inch panel. It'll go right through. And as you can see, I'll show it. I guess I didn't show it here. But you just basically take a couple passes off of it and just go from there. And you can see that's the panel. You can see the joints are nice and tight, nice and flat and smooth. You can kind of sort of see where the boards are because the boards have a little bit different color and sheen off of there. And that's all we're looking for. Looks great and it's ready to go. We'll rip it up and make a drawer side out of it. Appreciate you watching the video. Hopefully you got to the end. This is my process for doing panel glue ups, and hopefully you'll check out the next video we do. Thank you.